Hey guys, welcome to another video of your favorite cloud learning platform, K21 Academy, where you learn cloud from the experts. In this video, our expert trainer will be covering working with data storage. We have taken this clip from our step-by-step learning program on data engineering on Microsoft Azure DP203. Guys, make sure you watch the entire video so you can avail the free gift at the very end. Now, let's hear from our expert.
Welcome everyone. Let's talk about data storage. So in this particular module, we'll talk about all the different type of data storage options which are available in Azure and how do we choose the suitable option. What is Azure Storage Account Data Lake and how do we upload data with Data Lake Store. So we'll talk about all these different things. So let's get started. So the very first thing we're going to talk about is how do we choose a data storage approach in Microsoft Azure platform. Benefits of using Azure storage, and the second objective which we are going to learn is how do we compare on-premise with cloud. So very first thing is the benefits of using Azure to store data. There is automated backup is available. Global replication is possible. You can replicate your data multiple times and everything is in our control. Do I want 3 copies of my data, 4 copies of my data, or do I want 6 copies of my data? Encryption capabilities are available. So we can encrypt data and we can also manage the keys ourselves. That is optional. Do we need to manage the key ourselves or do we want Azure platform to manage the keys? Both options are available and multiple type of data options are available. So based on the requirement, I don't have to stick with one. Based on my requirement, I can select maybe distributed data locations, or maybe I can go for some sort of tiering in data, hot, cool, archival, and so on and so forth. Data analytics is supported, storage tiers are there, virtual disk is possible. So we can go for HDD and SSD type of disk. Everything is in the cloud itself. Now, the main thing is why should we go for having the storage locations in cloud versus the storage locations on premises? The very first thing is cost effectiveness. Whenever you do something on premise, there is capital expenditure. You have to upfront do the payment, you have to purchase the server and then you can do something with it. However, in the cloud platform, everything is pay as you go, operational expenditure. So if there is any startup which is, you can say, cash bootstrapped right now, so from the point of view of that startup, they can directly go for cloud platform where they are just paying for what they are using and then they are not paying for any expensive hardware upfront. Reliability will be higher. Now, to be honest, reliability can be provided on premises as well, but things are expensive. So if I go for load balancing, backup, disaster recovery, data replication to ensure the safety of my data and high availability, doing the same thing in the cloud platform versus doing the same thing on premise, cloud platform will be pretty simple or pretty easier to do versus doing the same thing on premises. Storage types, and now Azure provides multiple type of storage options, distributed and tiered storage as well. Agility is also pretty high for cloud solutions. Now you can deploy things within minutes. However, you might be aware of that when we procure servers on premises or maybe disk nodes on premises, it takes 6 months, 1 year just for the procurement process. And in cloud, you will see that we will deploy resources within minutes. As such, we'll do some couple of clicks here and there and things get deployed. So the time to market is pretty less in cloud versus doing the same thing on premises where you manage your own local hardware and server. So agility point of view, we give up positive point to the cloud platform. So here are some review questions. In case you want to answer them, you can simply pause the video and you can try to answer them and then we'll discuss it out. So hopefully you answered these questions. Now check this out. Suppose you work at a startup with limited funding. Why might you go for Azure data storage over on-premises? So we talked about this just now. The answer will be that Azure pay-as-you-go model provides us, we avoid buying expensive hardware, and Azure pay-as-you-go model is basically operational expenditure will be there. Whatever we are using in that point in time is what we are paying for it. Which of the following situation would yield the best or the most benefits from relocating from on-premise to cloud? Now, on-premises, what happens if after you procured the hardware, you don't have the requirement of it, you cannot simply throw it away. You did the investment into it. There is capital expenditure, upfront investment has been done into the hardware. So in cloud, however, if you do not require something, if there is unpredicted demand is there, ups and downs as such, scale out, scale in, so you can simply provision more or deprovision resources. So that makes it pretty easy to, or pretty risk free to start up any project as such. Hopefully you got the answers correctly. Otherwise, you can simply go back and check out the previous module one more time. Now coming over to the lesson number 2, we'll talk about storage account. In this lesson, we will talk about it. I'll show you a couple of demos as well. And then I'll try to relate with data platform. We'll try to relate how does storage account help us out. So we'll talk about storage account. We'll determine the appropriate setting of each storage account, choose an account creation tool, create a data storage account using the Azure portal. So first of all, what is storage account? That should be the first question itself. Now storage account, it's a storage location first of all, and it is 500 terabytes of storage location, huge 500 terabytes. Is it only one as such? Not really. So how many can I provision? You can provision more than 200 storage account in one region of Azure. How many regions do I have? I have 60 plus regions in Microsoft Azure. So you can deploy many storage accounts depending on your depending on your project, to be honest. And so 500 terabytes of huge storage location, and it provides 4 type of services over there. We have blob, file, queue, table. So blob stands for binary large object, where any type of data can be kept. Second thing is files share. Third is queue. Fourth is table. So that's the first thing as such. So let me take you to the whiteboard and let's discuss about these 4 type of solutions. And we will be focusing more on blob, file share, and tables as such. Not much on queue. Queue is just 2 minutes overview onto queue, because that's not really part of data platform. That will be more part of developer oriented training. So check this out. So this is my whiteboard over here. And so what is storage account? First of all, storage account is 500 terabytes of huge location. So this is the symbol of storage account. Now it will provide me 4 type of services. First is blob. Actually, blob is now called as container. So let me write it correctly. Container. Don't get confused with Docker container. This has nothing to do with Docker. It's simply container. So container is something which stores blobs inside that. I'll explain it. Hang it. And the second thing is file share. So third option will be table, and the fourth option will be queues as such. So these 4 things is what storage account provides me. This is storage account. What is blob containers? Now this is, so first of all, container or blob is, this concept is coming from object storage. So what is the meaning of object storage? Now check this out. So let's say, let me make it like this, and let me say I have one container over here which is called as images. Imagine I have this container and this is called as images, like that. So inside this container, when I upload my data, the data will be having 3 things. There will be some URI or URL of the data, right? And then I will have metadata of data. So this is the data about data. And third is my data itself. So maybe I upload one picture over there. So this is the picture JPG file, imagine, which I uploaded. So this full thing is called as one object, right? And where is data uploaded over here? Data is uploaded inside blob. So what is blob? Binary large object. So where is my data? If somebody asks you the question in object store, data will be inside blob. File format matters? Not really. Any file format can be kept there? Yes. Can I put JPG, PNG, dot backpack, CSV, TSV, Parquet? Yes. Answer is yes for everything. Data, it really doesn't matter. You can store any data over there. So what do we understand? That object storage stores data as objects, and container is one example of it. And what is representation? So container basically is where we store blobs. Will there be one blob as such? Not really. you can have literally 500 terabytes is the upper limit of storage account. So you can keep on throwing as much as you want. So imagine I have one more picture, and this is my picture number 2. It might be, so it is having URI and there is metadata, and the third thing is data itself. So this is where I have blob, binary large object. So this also is one object like that. So what is object store? Object store basically store data as objects. There are 3 things inside data: URI, metadata, data. And data will be in blob. Blob can be of various sizes, meaning I can have a bigger blob also. The image files might be 2, 3 MB, 10 MB, 15 MB in size. I might be having some bigger file over there, which is maybe 10, 20, 30, 200 MB in size or 200 GB in size, and so on and so forth. So doesn't matter. It stores everything as such, right? This is the first thing. Secondly, I have file share, right? I'll show you one. We'll see this in the Azure portal as well. So what is file share? File share is shared folder. So imagine you have a couple of virtual machines with you. Now I'm assuming you know virtual machine. Virtual machine is basically virtual instances, or you can say Windows 10 machines in cloud. Let's talk about this. Let's say Win 10. Everyone understands what's Win 10. Now I want to have one shared location between these 2 machines, just like a shared folder. So what do? I create one file share and I mount it over there. So inside the virtual machines, you will be able to see the file share being available as whatever drive you want, Z drive, X drive, F drive, and so on and so forth. So that file share is this file share. So if you can say, if we keep one file over there, imagine, then that file will be read by both that file will be available from both the virtual machines. So, or if one of the machine writes some file, or maybe both of them are writing some data over there, we can also read it from there. Actually, you can actually mount this location into your laptop as well. So what is file share? File share is just hybrid shared folder, right? Now what is table? Now table is a key value pair over here. So table will be something like this, key value pair in this particular sense, and there is no schema. Different rows will have different number of, can have different number of columns. There is no schema as such. Secondly, it can be pretty, it's pretty dirt cheap, and secondly pretty scalable, and this is non-relational. If somebody asks you to make relationships over there, then we will talk about, then tell them to go and make the tables relational database management system. What is Azure Storage Account Table? Is basically key value pair. Now what do I have? I have row key concept. So for example, let's say the first is order ID over there, maybe name of product, right? Third is address of the customer. Fourth is price over here. Fifth is, right, maybe status of that product, delivered, not delivered, and many more can be there. One more thing which is possible is we can also do partitioning as such. So this table can be partitioned as well. So this is partitioning. We will talk about partitioning more in upcoming topics. For example, when we go to Cosmos DB, we will spend a huge amount of time in understanding partitioning. Right now, what you need to understand is, for example, let's say I did the partitioning with customer ID. Then if my customer 123 is a number of the customer, imagine. So this this partition represent, or this is 123rd logical partition. Let me put it like this. This is logical over here, and maybe this partition is for customer 124. I have a 2D diagram. So obviously if data increases, this table will grow. However, what you need to understand is that logical partitions are in physical partitions behind the scene. So Microsoft Azure will be having some servers as such, and those physical logical partitions will be there. So customer number 123 data maybe is available over here. This is data for customer 123. And this is over where data for customer number 124 is there. So if somebody does a query where, so find me the status or find me last 5 purchases of customer 123, or where customer ID equal to 123, then the query will actually be running against the logical partition. But where does the query really run? It really runs in the, you can say, across the physical partition as such, where the data is kept. And who is responsible for these physical partition? Microsoft is responsible for it. We are not supposed to worry about the physical partitions over there, physical servers. We just take care of the logical partitioning. How do we do it? We will understand more about it. So what is, in a nutshell, if I revise, what is table? Table is key value pair, and data will be stored. There is no schema. Different rows can have different number of column. Partitioning concept will be there. Row key concept is there. If you want to get the information of the entire customer, you can pull the entire row as well. You can also get one particular value by providing the correct attribute, and then you can say that one particular value can be pulled as well. This is called as table. Third thing is queue. Storage account also provides queue. Fourth thing is queue as such. Now what is an queue? So queue is basically, let's say I want to decouple. There are two layers over here, layer A, and this is my B components as such. So like this. Now to decouple A component from B component, we will put one queue over there in middle. Now in this part training, we're not concerned about the queue. Just to give you 2 minutes overview of the queue. This is what the queue is over here. It can be as big as 500 terabytes, and the size of the messages over there will be 64 KB. So you can say A components are writing these messages and B components are reading the messages. So why do we put queues? Queues are basically, they decouple my various solutions. So I have different layers now, A layer and maybe B layer. They are scaling in and out, and load labeling also happens with the help of queue. So this is basically storage account queue can be used as such. So 4 options are these which storage account provides. Now let's go back to the slide deck and let's understand a little more. We'll see demo of this as well. So queue, blob, file, table. How many do you need? The number of storage account is typically determined by your data diversity, cost sensitivity, and tolerance of management overhead. What is data diversity? Basically, organization often generate data that differ in where it is consumed and how sensitive is it. Cost sensitivity stands for the setting you choose for accounts also influence the cost of the service. For example, if I go for 10 storage accounts and every storage account is having 200 GB of data, I have to pay, right? That's a cost. So, and management also increases because of that. So really, honestly, it depends on the project. What are we doing? What are we trying to achieve? That's basically how many storage account do we need, depends on it. Do I have one single storage account in the company in one part of the world and keep every data over there? Answer is no, we don't do it. Mostly your storage accounts will be where maybe they will be based on geographic. So if my customers are in Europe, my storage account will be inside Europe itself. So it will be inside Europe data center and data will be there in Europe. If the data is supposed to be in UAE, then storage account I'll create in UAE data center and I'll literally make it over there, right? So a lot of things comes into picture when we create these storage accounts. We'll understand more on the way. Now check this out. So this is how storage account looks like when we'll create it, and there are some basic settings over there. We'll create one resource group. Resource group is basically collection of resources. Name has to be given, location, wherever you want to deploy this, performance level, HDD or SSD, and account level, and basically default tier, cool or hot. So how do we create storage account? You can create storage account with the help of portal, command line, management SDK, as well as PowerShell. So by using all these, we can create it. So let's create one storage account and let's talk about it. So I'll take you to my Azure portal. So this is how Azure portal looks and feels like, and that's the GUI. So if you have seen the Azure portal for the first time, it will be looking something like this. I recommend that you click on the setting on the top and you click on this docked option. It makes navigation easier as such. So what are we going to do? Let's create one storage account and let's work with it. So check this out. Now I'm clicking on the left hand side on this option called as storage account, and there might be some previous storage account from my other work. However, don't worry about it. It will be empty for you, right? And we'll click on add option from the top. So once I click on the add, it basically takes me to the same page we were checking out in this slide deck. So what do I have to provide? So I have to provide one resource group name. So this is my first time I'm doing it. So let's create the first resource group. So create new, and you can say first resource group. You do not have to follow me right now. If you want, you can follow me. Actually, this is not the actual lab. I'm just showing you how to create storage account. We'll do the lab very soon. So if you want to follow me in the lab part, or I leave this to you, however you want to do it, right? Maybe you want to do it 2 times, or just have a look at it right now. And in the lab, you can follow me. And step-by-step activity guide is available in your K2N portal. So go and find it, right? Now, check this out. Now, storage account name will be globally unique. Why will it be unique? Because afterwards, the data needs to be accessed from various locations, and using the unique URI or the URL of the data, we will access it. So storage account name will be globally unique, not in your account unique, like globally like that. So let me create the first storage account. So I'm using my name and I'm just putting one random number over there. That random number is to make it globally unique like that. Now, which location Southeast Asia is good enough? So when you're doing your hands-on tutorial, you can follow the location which is given in the activity guide, or you can also simply create your resources in Southeast Asia or East US. So as we understand that there are more than 60 regions in Microsoft Azure, but in the free trial account which you are using, or even if you are using the account which we provide, in both of them, all 60 locations are not whitelisted. So one of the best locations which I also select whenever I am using a free account will be Southeast Asia or East US. That's what you're going to see me use most of the time. So I have various more options: performance, standard, premium. So let it be standard. Don't worry about the account guide, replication, and so on and so forth right now. Let's just create one storage account. We'll talk about, let's create this and let's talk about it. So with the default setting, I just created the storage account, and it should take around 30 seconds or maybe 40 seconds for it to come up. So just hang in with me. Now, when the storage account is created, you can simply click on go to resource from here, or maybe you can also go to resource group and you can find it from there. So one option is from here, you can click on it. It's perfect. Or just to show you what happens when you lose your resources, you can click on resource group all the time. And this is my first RG. I can click on it, and this is the same storage account which I would have directly also found, or maybe you can say from here also, from the left hand side I found it. Or you can also click on storage account option on the left hand side, and the same storage account will be listed over there. So even if you lose your resources, you can simply find the resource group option on the left hand side and you can find your resource back again, right? So whatever you do, finally click on the storage account and see we have 4 options over there: container, file share, table, and queue. So right now I am just using I'm creating this container, and in this container let's create images container, images like that. And let's click on it, and let's click on images, and let's say upload. Right, so I uploaded one picture over there, and this is the car.jpg. So if I just want to show you, I can click on this edit option and you will see this is the car which I have uploaded over there. So this is what we were talking about earlier, that there is a, you can say, if I take you back to the diagram, you see there is a URL over there and metadata and data. So that's the data is right now picture, and it is in blob as such. And this is how that data looks right now, that picture looks like, right? Now, so this is basically how do you look and feel. This is a first look and feel with storage account. We'll talk about storage account a little more in the lab scenario. I'll explain what we are doing. For now, let's continue to data lake, and let's talk about the next topic. Now coming to lesson number 3, Azure Data Lake Storage. Now in this lesson, we'll talk about what is data lake, what's the meaning of it, how do we create data lake, and how do we work with it, how do we upload data to it. We'll compare data lake with other options, and once we have done all of it, we will be talking about some use cases of data lake as well. And we will also explore the various type of data lake options which are there, generation 1, generation 2, right? So let's get started. So the very first thing which comes to my mind is, or which should also come to your mind is, like, what is data lake? Like, what is this new thing? Now, data lake is a generic concept. Data lake also exists on-premise. The meaning of data lake is that it's a central location where huge amount of data can be stored. And why do we do it? Because data is very important these days. We don't throw data anymore. Maybe if we don't know what to do with the data in that point in time, maybe in future we will have some data scientists or data engineers or data analysts might be there who will extract some meaningful business insights from the data. So we need some location where we can keep that huge amount of data. Now, if you think it through, if we don't throw data anymore, we have to have a location which keeps on growing. Doing the same thing on premise will be very expensive. But in Azure, we have this service called as Azure Data Lake. It is having two generations as such, generation 1, generation 2. Generation 1 is getting deprecated, so we are not concerned about generation 1. And generation 1 doesn't even provide the same functionalities as generation 2. So later on in the whiteboard, I'll explain the difference between generation 1 and generation 2 a little more. Right now, generation 1 is it's getting deprecated. Generation 2 is what we use in production, and that's what we are concerned about right now. So what is data lake? Data lake is 100% compatible with Hadoop distributed file system, HDFS. So if I have big data cluster, big data requirement, big data analytics going on in my company, then only will I go for data lake. That statement is pretty correct as such. So is data lake replacement of storage account? Answer is no. If I'm doing big data analytics, then only data lake comes into picture. If there is no big data analytics going on, then we don't need to pay extra for Hadoop distributed file system compatibility, and we simply keep our data inside storage account. So what we learned in the previous section or previous session is still holds. Data lake is use case specific. Security as such. Not when we talk in terms of security, we can provide file level and folder level security. That functionality is not available in other solution. Or you can say in storage account that option is not there. So you may have a big team, but the team might be having various individuals. Some of them might be having more access and some of them might be having less access as such. When we talk about performance, you can extract or you can load huge amount of data from data lake. It provides Spark optimizations. So it is more performant than a normal storage account. And you can create, as part of redundancy, you can have 3 copies, 4 copies, 6 copies of your data. So even in the backend, if something goes wrong and one of the server crashes or one of the disk node crashes where data was there, it does not matter. There are more copies from where it will be restored and we will not lose our data. So all those options are available. Now, let's create one data lake. Let's do that first. So what I'm doing, I'm going to my Azure portal and I'm clicking on, now check out the process guys. I'm clicking on my storage account. So I click on add over there and let's create one resource group called as maybe first data lake RG. And inside this first data lake, let's create our first data lake. So this first data lake is, let's say first data lake Shivam, and it is having a random number 5779 over there just to make it randomized. ESTS is good enough for us. And the difference is we'll go to the advanced section, and in the advanced section, we'll click on hierarchical namespace. As soon as we enable this, it will become, you can say, 100% compatible with Azure Hadoop So Hadoop distributed file system, and this is what we call as Azure Data Lake Generation 2. So the only thing which I did, apart from what we have still learned, is I went to the advanced option over there and I clicked on hierarchical namespace and I enabled it. So this is how do we create it from the Azure portal. Now, what's the meaning of hierarchical namespace? That's the next question that should come to your mind. Now, hierarchical namespace means folder structure is there. Thus, it's very similar to, is it similar to the folder structure which you have in your laptop? Answer will be yes. It is similar to the folder structure, folder inside folder inside folder. And does Azure Blob provides the same folder structure? No, that's a flat namespace. And is it something which is used in our, which is pretty used in real time? The folder structure answer will be yes. Creation of ability to create folders and keep your data inside various folders, and the ability to run queries against data which are available only in one folder is really useful. So data lake provides that hierarchical namespace, and blob storage is having flat namespace or doesn't provide hierarchical namespace. When we talk about processing of big data, there are multiple stages. You can ingest data. When we talk about ingest data in DP900, we have talked about one solution called as Data Factory. And if you have not seen the videos of DP900 recording, please go back and see the videos. First, it's available in your K21 portal, and then come back and carry on with the session over here. Very first thing is we ingest data. Second thing is store data. So data lake comes into picture when storage of data is over there. Then once the data has been loaded or is available inside data lake, which is Hadoop distributed file system, we might be having some big data cluster like Spark or Hadoop, which is reading data from it, transforming of data, machine learning models might be getting trained, and then the output might be getting stored in some serving layer, or the machine learning models which are trained might be getting deployed as such. So as part of the process of big data analytics, data lake comes into picture in the storage section over there, and various tools or technologies, they read write data from data lake. So three use cases here. These are generic use cases, not industry specific: warehousing, advanced analytics, and real-time analytics. In warehousing, data lake is the heart where huge amount of data is stored, and then it is processed, and then it is further put into analytical data storage such as Synapse. As part of advanced analytics, Data Factory might be loading terabytes of web logs from the server, and predictive model or machine learning model will be getting trained in Azure Databricks, and the outputs are getting distributed globally with the help of Azure Cosmos database. Real-time analytics comes into picture when you are ingesting real telemetry data coming from IoT devices, and we might be using a solution called as Apache Kafka or Event Hub, which provides real-time ingestion engine for telemetry data, and data is getting streamed or ingested, and then it is stored in data lake for further processing over there. So I have some review questions over here with me. So the very first question is, Mike is creating an Azure Data Lake Generation 2 account. He must configure this account to be able to process analytical data workload for best performance. Which option should he configure when creating the storage account? So in the advanced section, we have to go and enable the hierarchical namespace. That's what we have to do. All right. The second thing is, in which phase of big data processing is data lake located? The answer will be storage layer. It's part of storage section. The next section we'll talk about how do we upload data into Azure Data Lake, right? And before we can upload data into Azure Data Lake, we are going to create one data lake with PowerShell this time. It's going to be slightly different. PowerShell comes into picture. We will load data and we'll see how can we further work with it. Now, this is one script over here where we have location equal to west US2, AZ storage account, resource group, name of you can say the name of data lake right now, location, SKU, standard, hierarchical namespace, true. That's the syntax of how do we create data lake. So let's do it. So I have the same syntax written with me over here in this, you can say in this location. And the location is East US, which I am going for. And you can also go for Southeast Asia, or you can try other regions as well. But in the safer regions are Southeast Asia and in East US. We have discussed this before, because in the free accounts which we are having, every region is not whitelisted. So instead of getting unnecessary error, you can always use East US or Southeast Asia for your deployments. So I'm creating one. So in the resource group called as my resource group, we'll be creating data lake, which is having, let's randomize the name. Let's say this is the name over here, and we'll enable the hierarchical namespace. So let's do it. So I'll take you to my Azure portal, and let's first go and confirm, do we have that resource group called as my resource group with us or not? I don't have it. So let's create that resource group. So whatever name you want, you can give the same name, right? So whatever name by which you create the resource group, you can give the same name in the other way around also. So I'm giving the same name here, and my resource group will be up within seconds. Now I'm clicking on Cloud Shell option on the top. I hope you can see over here. And once I click on it, it opens the PowerShell window for me. Now, when you will click on this for the first time, it will not open the PowerShell window directly. It will ask you to basically create the storage account. You will click on create, and then PowerShell option will be there. You will click on PowerShell. And if there is any problem in terms of connecting to the PowerShell window, just refresh the page the way I did it. and it will reconnect the PowerShell session. So you can say it should be able to have a new session connected. So let's wait for it to load. In the meantime, FYI, Cloud Shell is actually Ubuntu VM which is running behind the scenes. So if you run something over here, it runs in the Ubuntu VM behind the scenes. Oh, some failed to provision. Oh, so there are two ways. Let me just refresh the page one more time. So it will reconnect the PowerShell session. If something like that happens, don't worry. You can say refresh the page or top. That's one of the things which you can go for. Great, so the PowerShell session is connected now, and I am just going to copy my command from there, and I'm just going to run it over here. So this runs as such. So what it will do, it will create one data lake into the resource group called as my resource group, and the name of the data lake will be here. In the meantime, it creates a data lake. Let me show you one tool. So I have this tool with me called as Storage Explorer, and what is this tool? You have to download this tool from any of your search browser. Just look up for it. You can Google up for Azure Storage Explorer, and for whichever operating system you have, just download this. Once you have downloaded, you click on this option on the top and you click on add account, and in the add account option, just say next after that, and give your username and password for Azure portal, and you'll connect over there. So once you are connected, what happens, it lists all your Azure resources here. So the data lake got created. So let's go back and refresh this section over here. And the data lake which we created was called as data lake 5870, 5857 like that. So it's not listed yet. Let me refresh the page one more time. This is the one. This is the one. So I click on it, and I basically I'm going to the blob section over there. And in the blob section, I'm right clicking. I'll say create a blob, and this is my data folder. Now, so earlier the right side was not loading properly, so you saw some file names were there, but that was just some cached image. Don't worry about it. So data, and maybe I'll create one folder over there. This is my raw data. Let's say I have raw data, and then in this raw data, let's click on it and let's upload. So what is this tool? Why can't we upload it from the portal? We can upload data from the portal, but when you are working with big amount of data, this tool is very useful. This is a very sophisticated tool with lots and lots of functionalities. Portal will not be able to provide you in the GUI all the options which the sophisticated tools can provide. So if you are working with big amount of data, then it is needed, or you can say this comes into picture. However, if you are working with one single file and so on and so forth, then it really doesn't matter. You can simply upload it from the portal also. So I am uploading a couple of files. You saw me select many pictures. These pictures are used for my training my big machine learning models, and data is getting uploaded. So can I go and show this in the meantime in the Azure portal to you? Let's minimize it. Let's go to the resource group over here, and this is my resource group and my data lake, the one which we just deployed from PowerShell. And I'm wondering what should I see over there? Think it through. What was the name of the container which we created from the tool? That container is called as data container. So we're expecting data, and inside data we're expecting one folder should be there called as raw, or inside raw should be the pictures which we are uploading right now. In this point in time, they are getting uploaded. So these are those pictures. Let me just see, is it done? So transfer completed. Okay. So I have these pictures with me. Can I show you one of the pictures? These are basically just dummy pictures as such. So if I click on edit option, that's one of the picture like that. So now just reminder, can I replace storage account with data lake in all of my project? Answer is no. If you are doing big data analytics, then only you require Hadoop file system. So apart from it, you will go for storage account. So if somebody asks you that I want to keep my static images, if somebody asks you like that, like I want to keep my static images, what location should I go for? You will say, I will go for storage account, normal storage account. I will not go for massively scalable data lake. However, if there is any requirement that we are looking for, there is a big data analytic project comes up and you need to provide some storage for it, then your answer will be that, okay, if there is a big data analytics going on, then we will be creating one data lake, and that data lake is where we will keep our data as such. So this is how we create data lake from PowerShell. Let's go back to the slide deck and let's read more about it. Now I have already shown you how to work with Storage Explorer as well. You can simply install it from any of your search browser, and for your operating system you will find it. Just install it and start working with it. Now, as we are talking about that, there are two type of options available, generation 1 and generation 2. So data lake generation 1 is getting deprecated, but it was available since last many years. So a lot of companies are still using it. So when they migrate from data lake generation 1 to data lake generation 2, they can use one option called as data factory, which can do their migration, or which can copy the data from the old version to the new version. That's how we do it in production. Now I have some review questions here with me. So go through these review questions, and you can pause the video and you can take some time to answer them, or you can just have a look at them along with me. The first question is, Contoso has a data lake storage account. Which tool would be most appropriate tool to perform one time without installation of configuration of any tool to upload a single file? So the question is that we want to upload one single file. We don't want to configure any tool or install any Storage Explorer and so on and so forth. How can I do it? The easiest way to do it will be, or for single file, will be using Azure portal in that particular sense. Now second thing is, Contoso has a data lake storage account. Which tool will be most appropriate to do a movement of thousands or hundreds of files from Amazon S3 bucket to Azure? So from AWS you want to get data to Azure. The answer will be Data Factory. Data Factory will help us do that.
We have put on everything about the certification and a lot more on this 12-week roadmap that we have created for you if you are preparing for Microsoft Azure Data Engineer Certification DP203. On week number 1, we start with explore, compute and storage options for data engineering workloads. Then on week 2, we cover run interactive queries using Azure Synapse Analytics serverless SQL pools. On week number 3, we cover data exploration and transformation in Azure Databricks. On week number 4, we cover explore, transform and load data into data warehouse using Apache Spark. On week number 5, we cover ingest and load data into data warehouse. On week number 6, we cover transform data with Azure Data Factory or Azure Synapse pipelines. On week number 7, we cover orchestrate data movement and transformation in Azure Synapse pipelines. On week number 8, we cover end-to-end security with Azure Synapse Analytics. On week number 9, we cover support hybrid transactional analytical processing with Azure Synapse Link. On week number 10, we cover real-time stream processing with Stream Analytics. On week number 11, we cover create a stream processing solution with Event Hubs and Azure Databricks. By week 11, we are pretty confident that you are ready for the certification exam. So to top it all off, on week number 12, we help you with some tips and resources for clearing certification and CV preparation, along with some exam questions and interview questions. Guys, this is an excellent training program that we have created specially to meet your needs as you are preparing for the certification exam. If you are interested in this training program, then I would highly recommend you to go and attend our free class on Microsoft Azure Data Engineer Certification. In this free class, we will be covering what is Azure Data Engineer role and exam DP203, why everyone is working on data currently, important Azure services you should learn, and there is going to be a live demo as well on Azure Synapse Analytics components. To register for this free class, go at k21academy.com/AzureDE02, then select an event date, your name, your email ID, your phone number, and then click on Yes, Save My Seat. Once you click on this button, you will be redirected to this particular page. That means you have successfully registered for this free class. Now, guys, I'll see you guys directly at the free class.